So I wanted to show you a fun little project pretty much anybody could do. So if you want to have a nautical theme or something and you want a boat propeller, but you don't have one, I bet you probably do have one, with an old fan around your house. Doesn't that already look like a boat propeller? Can't you see that thing spinning? But they're usually this super shiny, unpaintable plastic, right? Or so. So if you were to just put paint on this as is, it's gonna crack off. I'll show you an example. This is, I tried using self-priming paint on this one, and it didn't work. So let's see. As you can see, hopefully. Yeah, there we go. So it's coming off. So, we're gonna paint that. So we'll clean this guy up, and I'll show you the trick to painting these the right way. So your paint sticks, and then how to age them up and make it look super cool. So the main trick, I should say, is you need to prime your piece, and you need to use this self-etching primer. That's the most important thing. Self-etching primer. Remember those words. Self-etching primer. If you use anything but that, this will not work. Also, I'm going to point out too that you're still not going to be able to like super flexible bend this thing, but the point is that even hanging there, the paint on this will eventually flake off, or like if you drop it or something like that, like it'll just pop right off way easier versus painting it with this. It's going to be much sturdier. We might be able to bend it. I don't think we will, but we'll see. And then also, if you do a lot of spray painting like I do, get yourself one of these bad boys. Pretty sweet. Just clips right on here. Off and running. Cool. Let me get my mask and we'll be good.
Alright guys, here we are. We're back. I got my mask on. It's very important to have a mask on, especially when you're painting with spray paints, and especially with primers and self-etching primers, because you don't want this to self-etch your lungs. So make sure you have a mask on. Even if you're outside like this, it's still good to have a mask on. At the very least, have a painter's mask on, a dust mask. But if you have a respirator, they're not very expensive. You can get them on Amazon for like 30 bucks with the filters. It's great to have. There we go. Alright, so we got our second coat on. We'll let that dry, and we'll get back.
Whew, okay. So I just took my mask off, as you can see, and yeah, now I can smell the primer paint smell, whereas before I couldn't smell it at all. So I had a good seal on my mask, so that's always a good thing. But anyway, so I just wanted to show you guys a few things here, hopefully before my battery dies. One, I'm using my CNC space, or about to be CNC space, for my little temporary drying rack here for the fan. And two, when you guys do get a respirator, a good thing to you know, keep it nice for a long time, and so you're not running through 1,000 filters, is to store it inside a Ziploc bag. Show you. put it in the Ziploc bag, and then I always try to squeeze all the air out, or as much air out as you can, and then put it in your locker. I would keep mine in my paint locker. Always a good idea to keep your paints and anything that's could be explosive or toxic, what have you, in a metal cabinet. They do make specifically paint, like flammable cabinets that are usually bright yellow or bright red, that are spring loaded so that the doors don't pop open. These do lock, however, so it's better than nothing. Eventually I'll get one, a good one. Anyways, so yeah, alright, check. Alrighty guys, so it is the next day, and I went ahead and painted this black the same way. So I let the primer fully cure overnight. Like I said, it's the next day, so now we'll let this cure as well overnight, and we'll get back to it. Alright.
Hey guys, so it's my turn to take on the rest of this project. I am going to go ahead and start prepping my workspace just to save my nice pretty countertops. I definitely could have done this better, but whatever, I did it. It is how it is. Alright, so I taped everything down, and I'm going to prep the fan by adding some silver all over. I started on the back side so I can kind of figure out what my texture was going to be like. I started off by kind of dry brushing some strokes on there, but then kind of didn't like the way it looked. But then Ryan came in and showed me a technique that he was using a lot, which is kind of doing like these tiny small circles all the way around. I just make sure that I'm really dry brushing this, so I am obviously dipping it in the paint, but then spreading it out on my paper to make sure that it's not on the brush super heavily. It is on there very lightly. I could have even gone a little bit lighter handed on this, but kind of filling out the technique, figuring out exactly how I wanted it to look. And by the end of it, I kind of had an idea and a pretty good technique of doing it. So I just went ahead and did this all the way around both the front and the back of the fan blades. And I made sure to get the inside too, because the way that we decided to hang this, we're going to see all 360 degrees of this object. Here's where I went in with that, I think it's a burnt umber color, and again with a smaller dry brush. I was doing some stippling technique and just some round dry brushing. I made sure to really concentrate the rust along the edges and the joints of this, because this was supposed to be a little bit more of an age rust rather than like a water dripping rust. So I really wanted it to be all over the more, I guess, weaker parts of the blade, I guess is the idea. You know, a little bit of it is going to be like if some moisture were to get on it or was sitting on it for a little while or dripping down it, but for the most part it is more of a just all over aged type look. So I thought all those places where moisture would gather or where the blade itself would have been a little bit of a weaker material would be a really good place for rest. Like I said, around the parts where it's joined. So I made sure I again did the back so then I could go up to the front and get the right type of technique that I wanted. I made sure to flip the fan blade over and exactly get the some of the rest spots to kind of almost I guess translate to the other side, because if it's resting in one spot, it's more than likely either resting all the way through to the other side, or at least on the edges of the fan blade, also resting along the same edge. So I just continued to do that all the way around, and as you can see, I'm also like taking my gloved hand, very important it's gloved, so that it comes off a little bit easier. But if it went on a little bit too thick, or if I needed a little bit more texture, I was able to take that glove and kind of give it a little bit more texture. Here I'm feathering out this spot because it was just looking like too much of a shape. You want some kind of shape there, but you want it to look a little bit more organic and less man-made. So here, like I said, I was stippling based off of the other side and kind of giving it more of a directional look. And I just continued to do that all the way around. And here is the final product up in our little nautically lighted area under our patio by our barbecue and our outside area. I think it looks really, really nice. It goes really well with our lanterns, which we have available on our website. Make sure to check the description down below, along with our lobster trap you can see right over here. I just think it fits so well and it looks so nice, and it's just a fun, easy project to do, and you can do this with so many other things too. So I'm super excited. Thanks you guys for watching, and see y'all later. Bye!